Hi, it's Janine again. Okay, the meeting is now live streaming.
Okay, sounds great. So we'll call the meeting order. It's 3 o'clock. It's time to get going. And if we can please take the roll.
Calling the roll, Mr. Schrein.
Here.
Ms. Baker. Ms. Baker is absent at the moment. Mr. Tuma. Mr. Tuma is absent at the moment. Ms. Simon. Ms. Simon is absent at the moment. Ms. Stevens.
Present.
We do not have a quorum. Also like the record to reflect that Councilmember Miller is also in attendance.
Okay. Trevor, in the background, could you maybe contact at least one of those folks?
Chairman, I just sent messages to Scott and Nan. Both I talked to earlier and said they would be on at 3. So they probably just running us a minute or two behind. So, but I just texted them and reminded them.
Maybe there's Zoom gerbil. I took a hiccup in the middle of connecting there. So, all right, well, we can't vote on anything, but we can at least go through it. Has there been any public comment regards to the meeting?
No, Mr. Chair, no one submitted any public comment.
Okay, and we have one item on the agenda. So we can go ahead and hear the hearings on it. We can start the process, but we will not be able to move it forward unless we get one of those other two individuals. I'll be watching for them. I apologize on behalf of the committee where we are as far as the members from the presentation of this. This is, as a little aside, it holds near and dear to my heart because I can remember going into the Warner and Swasey building and buying a turret lathe for our operations in Chicago. So sadly, it did not keep pace with some of our from some of the world competition by not staying competitive with its machine tool business. I saw Sunny on there, so we will be able to have a quorum. So and there's Nan. So now we're fully over the quorum thing.
Good.
The chair will recognize both Sunny Simon and Nan Baker for purposes of taking attendance. So we now have a full quorum. So I'll turn that over to I assume, is it Ted or Paul going to make a presentation to open the dialogue?
I'm going to open it up, Mr. Chairman. And then,
let's read the one item into the agenda. Sorry about that.
And also, a vote on the minutes.
Oh, we do now. Yeah, we can officially now go back and vote on the minutes. Okay. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from the previous meeting?
Yes,
Okay. The chair will move that we approve the minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second Nan Baker.
Seconded. Is there any discussion in regards to the minutes? Hearing none, we do have quorum. So all in favor of approval of the minutes as presented, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. Okay.
Okay.
We now can officially approve the minutes. So let's go back and read the one record item into the record. And then
One thing, Chairman Tron, I have to go into a second meeting, so I may or may not be able to tune back in timely.
okay, well, we do have, thank you. Simon.
Okay.
We do have at least a quorum, though, so for purpose of voting it out. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. And now we have a full complement. I saw Mr. Tuma on there. So if we can record that and recognize that Mr. Tuma, we have all members of the committee here. So if we could read it into the record and then we'll begin our discussion.
Resolution number 2021-0055, authorizing an economic development, redevelopment, and modernization loan in the amount not to exceed $1 million to Warner and Swasey LLC for the benefit of a mixed-use real estate redevelopment project for property located at 5701 Carnegie Avenue in the city of Cleveland, authorizing the county executive and/or director of development to execute all documents consistent with said loan and this resolution.
Is there someone here from the economic development to speak on this?
yes, Mr. Chairman. Ted Carter, I'm joined today. I'm the Director of Development for Cuyahoga County. I'm joined today by Paul Hertig, the Deputy Director, and our Economic Development Loan Officer, Anthony Stella. Committee members, I am pleased today to introduce our proposed investment in the redevelopment of the Warner Swasey building, which will be a mixed use, mixed income, mixed population, adaptive reuse of the historic Warner Swasey manufacturing plant. Our proposed loan, which Loan Officer Stella will present in detail shortly, along with the developer PENNROSE. This project is similarly structured to Parma Town Station LLC, the Shops of Parma, and Heiners Inc. in Warrensville Heights, and reflects our redevelopment and modernization program, which we restructured in 2017. While I acknowledge there's risk in any real estate project, and certainly one given this size and complexity, we are partnering with a national developer that is expert in adaptive reuse and has similarly positioned national projects to point to. As you will hear, our loan is guaranteed and has several elements of the vision outlined in our 5-year economic development plan, eliminating blight, advancing workforce, and building on previous investments, in this case, our investments in the Midtown Health Tech Corridor. This loan has been reviewed by CCIC, myself, and has our enthusiastic support given its catalytic potential. Anthony, Stella, if you please present the project and introduce our development partners.
Sure. I'm Anthony Stella with the Department of Development, and we have Amber Seeley Marks and Jonah Fay with PENNROSE, with the developer. Also, we have Rick Barga on this call, who's with Midtown, who's also very supportive of the project. I have some slides I'm going to go through to. Sorry about that. And I'm going to go through some slides here that I have, and I've never shared them through Zoom, and I hope it works exactly the same way that it does on Teams, and then I can get started. Okay, so this here is the Warner and Swasey building. I'm sure most of us are familiar with it. They're on Carnegie Avenue. It's previously a manufacturer, turret lathes. It's been vacant for quite a while, and it's there's a lot of potential for this project. It can be an anchor for the community. So as Director Carter had stated, this is a mixed-use, mixed-income renovation of the vacant building. We're looking at it to be very catalytic for the Midtown area. This is a $54.1 million project where the county will be investing $1 million, and the term is a 15-year term. It'll be fully amortized with a 2.5% interest rate, and up to 25% of this loan can be forgiven upon the full renovation and job creation is met over a 3-year period. Some of the benefits of the project, the potential to create 46 new jobs in Cuyahoga County within 3 years with compensation of $3.3 million. So produce annual sales tax receipts of about $40,600. And this is calculated through software that we have where it takes the amount of income and it uses a factor of how much money would be spent in the county from these new jobs. And included in those jobs are the indirect and other jobs that would be created to sustain this project. Within the for the city of Cleveland, they'd be looking at gaining $83,700 annually in new income tax. Plus the redevelopment. This is a strategic and a historic vacant building. It would send a good signal to the marketplace to see this blighted building turned into something that's very useful. And the use that will create is new workforce housing, affordable housing, senior housing, and also some market rate housing there in the Midtown corridor. So as you can see, these are the current conditions of the building right now. It's been there vacant, just kind of just waiting for an opportunity. And over at least the last 10 years, I've known of at least 2 or 3 developers who have tried to take a stab at this and just haven't been able to get the numbers to work. And PENNROSE is looking to develop 140 total units of housing. It would be a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. The ground floor, the reason we'd be getting involved in this is because of the 20,000 square feet of office space. They're going to look to target it at workforce development and supportive services for to help create opportunities, not just for the residents of the building, but for the entire region, for the community. And I put the market rates on there. These are the full market rates without any of the subsidies, would be ranging from $925 to $1,400 a month. And that, the $1,400 would be for the 3-bedroom. Obviously, those rates would be reduced for certain tenants, depending on their income and what percentage of the median income they make, because it's based on some low income housing tax credits that will be used in the project. And so there's the stack of all of the uses here. I'm not going to go through all of them individually, but there's a few different tax credits coming into the deal. And the city of Cleveland is participating in the deal with some home dollars and CDBG dollars, and also some economic development dollars. And one of the reasons to kind of take a look at this is that a good chunk of what's going into this becomes equity in the deal. These tax credits are essentially equity that gets pumped into the deal, which creates then a lower debt service on there, which helps make this project feasible. It's a very big, large, cumbersome project, and it's very expensive to do the renovation, which is why some other developers have had trouble with that. So a little bit about the developer. Director Carter touched on it a bit. About 50 years of experience of doing projects all over the country. They develop and operate conventional, affordable, and mixed use communities throughout the country. They also will be providing a guarantee on the property through 2 of their entities, which are very well capitalized. Here's a site plan, not super clear, but Amber will go through this in a little more detail just to kind of give, I'm sure everybody knows where it's located, but going east and west on the south part of the screen there's Carnegie Avenue, and north-south on the western edge is East 55th. So this is a huge intersection, a very important intersection there for Midtown. And so, as I mentioned before, with all of the equity going into the deal, it really reduces the loans that will be in the deal. There's a senior lender coming in from Oryx Capital. We are providing a loan, and then there's some Ohio finance money coming in. The other lenders are doing much longer terms. We're doing a shorter term. And, altogether, we can, when we kind of take a look here at the next page on the operating pro forma, you can see that the debt coverage, is pretty much right on target for what we'd like to see for these deals. And, the fact that they were able to piece together the 2 different types of low-income housing tax credits and some of the historic tax credits really help make this deal feasible. And our loan in there really kind of helps, helps also to make it possible, especially with our low interest rate and the small portion of forgiveness. That's pretty much all I had. I'd like to turn it over to the developer to have her kind of go over her part of the presentation, and then we can come back for any questions that anybody might have.
Those cars.
Can you hear me, and can you see my screen? It has a black and white photo of the property. Yep. Okay.
Yes, thanks, Amber.
Great. So a little bit about Penrose to give you a sense of who we are. Penrose has been active in real estate development for over 50 years. Our portfolio includes 265 distinct developments in 16 states, plus the District of Columbia and the U.S. Virgin Islands. I would love to be the one working in U.S. Virgin Islands, but that is not me, someone else. We have a portfolio of 17,000 rental housing units, and we've done 3.5 billion in total development costs financed through a variety of public and private sources. Penrose has been the designated redeveloper in over 80 municipalities, and we regularly help cities transform underutilized properties like Warner-Swasey into thriving mixed-use economic development engines. Our motto or our slogan is bricks and mortar, heart and soul. So we like projects that not only provide housing, but create homes and connect with the community like this one does. Here is our geographic footprint. We're throughout the East Coast and working our way westward. I wanted to give you a few examples of the work that we've done and thought the most relevant was right there in Cleveland. We've done the St. Luke's Hospital. So this is a before picture. It was an old hospital shuttered for many years. And it was redone for $38.4 million, 137 units. And this was also done one building, but multiple phases, multiple different funding structures, very similar to the way we'll be doing Warner-Swasey. Some before and after pictures. We are not afraid of buildings that look like this, but we've learned a lot of lessons. So we look for certain things and keep our eyes open. Another example of a historic adaptive reuse project that we've done is this Plant 64 in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So you can see that it's a slightly different scale and layout, but larger unit count, completed in 2014. And this also has both commercial and residential. We see these historic buildings as offering an opportunity for a lot of unique amenities, which you can see. And then another example is called the Residence at Roosevelt Park in Edison, New Jersey. This one is also a hospital, a former hospital. And this one is senior affordable housing. So a little bit more about the location of the project. I know this is an economic development group, and you may be familiar with the work of our fantastic nonprofit partner, Midtown Inc., and Rick Varga is on from that group. This is a little bit about the neighborhood definition of Midtown, as well as some about who's present. One thing that's exciting about Warner-Swasey is there's been a lot of commercial development in this district, but with more housing, we're going to add to significantly to the residents, the number of residents who live in the development. I'm sure you guys are familiar at looking at maps like this, just kind of giving you the sense between that the property is located on Carnegie in between downtown and University Circle. There's a lot going on in the high-tech corridor. We're excited to be a part of that. There are a lot of things that have been happening right next door, including the Dave's Supermarket. So we're excited about having that great amenity for residences within walking distance. And then a little bit more about the building. And this is where I'll talk a little bit about the history, since I know we've got some history buffs on there, but it sounds like you already know what a turret lathe was. And I had to educate myself on what a turret lathe is. So the building itself was built in stages between 1905 and 1920. It is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. And it's registered for two reasons. One is because of the structure, but also because of the role that this company played in American industry. So Warner-Swasey was a world leader in the manufacturing of high-tech, high-quality craftsmanship of Warner-Swasey was the world leader and the manufacture of high-tech quality craftsmanship of machine tools, telescopes, and precision instruments. In particular, the partners, Ambrose Swasey and Worcester Reed Warner, together, they contributed to both engineering and design. And it's just really interesting how they, Warner was very interested in astrological instruments, and that's how the company got its start, was building observatories and telescopes looking out into space. And then Swasey was more interested in engineering, and the company evolved over time to be more the creation of additional precision tools besides looking out at the stars. At the company's 40th anniversary, they published a book about their 40th anniversary, and they described the firm's telescope work at that time as unprofitable overall, but a labor of technological love. So that continued to be a part of what they did. But their focus really became, as you noted, turret lathes, which for those of you who didn't know, is a machine that makes machine that makes parts. This is just some interesting pictures of during World War II, the importance of being able to manufacture things quickly. Warner and Swasey quickly became the top producer in the world of turret lathes. By 1928, they were the world leader. And by 1972, Warner Swasey manufactured 60% of all turret lathes made in the United States. In 1966, Warner and Swasey was recognized by Fortune magazine as a Fortune 500 company, and their revenues were $212 million at that time. Gives you a sense of the scale of the company. And then after 100 years of operation, they began their downward turn in the 1980s, and they left this Cleveland factory for a facility in Salone in 1985. City of Cleveland acquired the Warner and Swasey Company building, and in 1991, the company closed down the following year, 1992, and the building was nominated as historic, but has remained vacant since 1985. So there was some asbestos and other environmental remediation that the city has done while the property has been in their hands, but this is the condition of the property and what it has been like since 1985. So just a few images of the site as it currently stands, a lot of interesting architectural features, wide open floor plans, a ton of amazing graffiti.
Hey, Amber, excuse me. This is Ted Carter. Sorry to interrupt you. I'm out of protocol, but I wanted you to go back, please, to that shed. And are you going to talk about the future use there and what some of the reprogramming that you intend to do?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll talk about that in just a minute.
Thanks.
Yeah, so these are, we call these the shed areas. A couple of pictures of what it's like being in there. So this is just a start to give you a sense of the past, present, and the future of the development. There's an interesting picture of how when it was fully active, what it looked like on the floor. It's open space now, and we're looking for an office use on the first floor. Here's a picture of the sheds as they were in use, what they're like now. And this is one of the images that inspires us from other developments about how to create a really inviting space out there. Here's some more photographs of how this has been done in other places. We're really excited about working together with Midtown, who does a lot of programming in the neighborhood already, but to activate this space for food truck gatherings and other activities that can be done in this large outdoor space. And even this is a historic structure here that's right next to a railroad, just like we have with Warner and Swasey. And there's still a lot of possibility to create special spaces there that people really enjoy. So Ted, does that cover what you wanted me to make sure I got through?
Yes, very much so. Thank you for doing it. I just wanted people to see some of the other kind of amenities that'll be available to Midtown through this project once it's online.
Yeah, great. So when it's not active space, it will be parking underneath those sheds. Here's the site plan. As you can see, we have ample parking. We did not have to ask for any parking variances because we're able to go back all the way to the site. And that's very unusual for a large urban historic building like this to have enough parking for the footprint. So this is a floor plan. The building is 5 stories tall. So starting here on the first floor, second, third, fourth, and fifth, it's kind of laid out a little unusual there. We've got commercial space on the first floor and then amenity space for our residents. So completing the first floor, we call this the Wedge Building and this the Carnegie Building. On floors 2 and 3, the Carnegie Building is senior affordable housing. On floors 2, 3, 4, and 5 of the Wedge Building, we have our family units. These are, because of the shape of the building, that's where we have our larger 2 and 3 bedroom units in the Wedge. And then the 4th and 5th floor of the Carnegie Building are affordable family housing, as well as the blue, as is our market rate housing. This is non-income restricted. So this is mixed population, being both senior and family, and mixed income being affordable and market rate. This is to give you a sense for the total unit breakdown. 56 units in the senior, the family affordable, it takes up their larger units. They take up more square footage, slightly smaller unit count overall, and then 32 market rate units. And then this slide is very dense, but just the public purpose summary, just wanted to share some of these details, but Anthony described his in his summary as well. This one project is accomplishing a lot of things, and we're really excited about that. We're excited about the number of things that we can do through this complicated project. We've shown that we can do with St. Luke's right there in Cleveland, but also in other places throughout the country. And it is complex financing, and that's why we've got a lot of smart people working for us and helping us navigate this process. And this funding from the city, from the county, really complements other investments from other local institutions, being the city, and then also the state of Ohio. And then I also wanted just to provide some information that we've shared previously on our economic inclusion and economic impact. No one will be displaced, so no one's being removed or kicked out because of the development. And our architect, Moody Nolan, is an MBE firm. And then a couple bullets down, we have we'll be complying with the city's expectations of good faith inclusion of minority, female, and Cleveland small businesses. And we're estimating 120 construction jobs, and these will be well-paying jobs because this is a Davis-Bacon job, meaning it will pay prevailing wage, and that's a requirement that comes with some of our other funding programs. So good paying construction jobs, a commercial tenant that will coordinate with the services and provide services to the residents living above. And then we're creating affordable housing, which is an asset to the city and bringing more residents to the Midtown neighborhood. So that's the conclusion of my presentation. And I'll stop sharing, but happy to go back to those slides if anyone wants me to go over anything.
And will that be the last presentation before we go into questions, Amber?
Yes.
And Ted? Okay.
Yes.
And Amber, I'm just shocked that you would put this behind the Virgin Islands. I'm just not, I can't understand it. It's find that unusual that the opportunity to be in Cleveland, Ohio. So anyway, with that being said, are there any questions by my fellow colleagues on the call?
I have a question, Chair.
Yes. Okay, Ms. Baker. Ms. Baker.
Okay, so wow. I mean, I think this is quite a project, and thank you for choosing Cleveland, Cuyahoga County. I think it's a remarkable proposal. I guess my question, just at first question, is why would you take a building that is not already designed for your purpose and completely renovate it instead of finding a vacant lot and building a building that would maybe be I don't know, more economical in, because we always hear that structures, you can't go in and remodel and update. It's sometimes better just to start over, tear the building down and build it up again. What, can you just tell me why it
Don't
is?
let the preservationists hear you say that.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah,
but
can
that's
I
the
jump in
reality
here?
of what happens. You know, I'm just asking not on a preservation level, but on an economic level. You're taking a building that's been empty for 30 years, has all the old structure and everything has to be completely, and it's not even designed for that purpose. I guess I'm just asking, how is it that you can justify not tearing it down and starting over versus trying to save it? I mean, I'm thrilled that you are, and I think it's going to be a huge asset. But I'm just curious, for when you put the numbers to the paper, how you can justify trying to restore, and not even restore because you're changing it into a completely different purpose. How does that work?
All of our funders would like to know that. Location, right? This is a great location. This is a good place for us to be. So we believe in what's happening in the high-tech corridor. We think it has great connectivity for public transit, for access to jobs. This is a great, it's on a transitional corridor where people can get downtown or to University Circle quickly. So the location is great. So we want to be in Midtown. So then that kind of limits your large, wide open spaces. And then, we couldn't afford to build Warner Swasey today. It's got like 2-foot concrete floors and the walls are 26 inches thick. It's a very solid structure as it's held up, even though it's been vacant for so many years. And we really see potential there to create unique spaces, not just a run-of-the-mill, I could rent this anywhere in America kind of a space, but that this will be a true value proposition and enable us to attract market rate residents to the project. So we really like the historical aspects. There are ways in which, because we have to adapt the floor plates, as you can see, they're wide open. And so that gives us a lot of flexibility of how we fill those spaces. Sometimes if you're adapting a hospital or an old schoolhouse and you're trying to maintain those internal, load-bearing walls, it really limits what you can do. But this is actually an open slate. They're wide open floor plans. It gives us a lot of flexibility to create modern, comfortable living spaces within this amazing structure with great views and great windows and great light.
Okay, well, it's good to hear. You mentioned earlier that Cleveland invested in asbestos removal. Is that completely done? And is there anything else they invested in that gives you a leg up?
I don't know that they invested in it, but it's actually good for us that all the windows are gone. That gives us, if there were any preserved windows, we would have to recreate that exact window in all places. The windows are all gone. It's been boarded up to protect the structure, but that enables us to use modern energy efficient windows and things like that. There is additional environmental work that needs to be done. There's some groundwater monitoring wells that need to be updated and continue to be monitored. There are additional, there's lead-based paint present. So there are things that we're going to do in the process of renovating that will further remediate, cover up the lead-based paint. There is asbestos friable material in the roofing. So there's a way we're going to handle the roof to encapsulate that. And also not having any residential on the first floor is part of keeping our residents safe from other contaminants. And most of the site, as you can see, is actually paved. And the concern is really more about green open spaces. So we're capping and protecting, and most of that work will be done through the redevelopment process.
Does the historic value of the building give you any exceptions or like elevators? Are you going to have elevators in this building that I'm not sure they exist now or not, or ADA requirements, or all of those things that didn't exist 30, 40 years ago?
So there are 2 elevator shafts. Because of the manufacturing nature use of the building, they did have to have a way to get in between floors. So they're very big, industrial size elevator shafts, which are more than we need. But we will have 2 elevators. So there's elevator shafts. There's already multiple sets of stairs to get in and out of the property. So we have 3 different forms of egress. Some of them very grand and wide and neat spaces. For ADA accessibility, we don't have a lot of grade on the site. So we have an accessible grade to get into the building, and then we have the elevator. And all of our amenity spaces are on the first floor.
So you would meet for elevator purposes for people that are living there, and for fire exits and all the things that have been done since this building was built, you're able to adapt.
Correct.
Okay, well, thank you, Chair. I may have other questions, but fascinating. And thank you, like I said, for choosing this building in Cuyahoga County. And I think it's a wonderful proposal.
Right. I see we have Council President Purnell Jones, and I should have recognized also Mr. Miller as an attendee also. So any other questions from other council members out there in regards to the project?
Thank you, Chair. If I could ask one question.
Sure, Mr. Jones, Council President.
I'm just tuning in, so if it's already been asked, forgive me. But do we have a projected timeline for the project itself as to when it will begin?
So we have, because of the scale of the project, we need not 1, but 2 awards from the Ohio Housing Finance Agency. We have 1, and we have an application in for the 2nd. So we're waiting to hear on that 2nd funding application. We have been encouraged by the Ohio Housing Finance Agency to submit 2. They're very supportive of the project. So we are planning to close at the end of this year, and construction would be at least 18 months thereafter.
All right, thank you very much.
Picking up on the Council President's question, was there a sequencing then that was going to also take place as far as when you're going to open up the buildings access for different floors or anything like that, or is it all going to open at the same time?
So the plan is that we'll probably have a separate certificate of occupancy for the first floor, the commercial space. But the idea is that the residences above that would all be leased at the same time, open for leasing, certificate of occupancy at the same time.
Okay. Other questions based on the Council President's or Ms. Baker's questions or anything of that nature?
If I may, Chair,
Sure.
what was the purpose of the first floor? I know you said it was going to be office. And what type of office? Who are you encouraging? I know you said perhaps some support services for those that are living there. Can you give a little bit more detail on what the use of that first floor is going to be?
Yeah. So we've been talking to a number of potential tenants, and so we're not saying any names right now until we have that secured. But we're targeting organizations that have an emphasis on workforce development and supportive services. So that will create opportunities for both the residents and the community at large.
Okay.
Other questions? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Were there going to be any other senior services? I know you had a slot, I believe, open for seniors. So outside of workforce training, what type of senior services are you speaking of?
So we have in our operating budget to provide supportive services to the senior in a very specific formula that's dictated by some of our funding sources of 15 minutes per senior unit per week in supportive services. And right now we have an MOU with Beachbrook, which is a local organization that we have partnered with on other developments that we have in Cleveland. We really like Beachbrook because they have both the senior and the family experience in providing services to both of those populations. There are other folks who do senior only, but doing senior and family is their kind of specialty.
Are you speaking of independent living or assisted living?
Independent,
Independent.
not assisted living.
Okay, so independent living would be what? Transportation provided? What is so independent is not, that's not the same as, there are services that go with independent living, aren't there?
Yeah, so the range of services we'd be providing to our seniors, and we have to be careful because assisted living is a very different category of housing that we're not entering into. But it's like financial counseling, training on how to use computers, social events, fitness, health and wellness and fitness activities, access to, like we have a relationship with the pharmacy that will deliver medication, so assistance and connecting to services that make their lives easier. So it's referrals, it's working with individuals to see what they need, but also collectively what are things that this population would benefit from experiencing. So it's transportation and training and social activities.
Okay. It's fascinating. Thank you. Thank you for your answers. Thank you, Chair, for the time to ask.
You're welcome. Thanks. Great questions. Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Miller?
just to follow up on the council president's question, when you said that the deal would close at the end of this year, does that mean that construction would begin shortly thereafter with a completion sometime in the middle of 2023?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
If we, we're getting your financial approval today, we have other financing that we've got about 50% of the money that we need. So as long as all of that proceeds according to plan, closing at the end of the year.
And just for clarity, Amber, we would not be closing today because we're not the body that does that. We only voted out of this committee, just so I don't want to set up a false expectation.
Where's my money?
It's sitting in my it's sitting on my parking lot right this moment. I'll just come on. Let me see if I can get it for you. It's but the process is comes out of committee, goes to the full council, and then from council, that's when approval takes place, and then contracts and agreements, and that's where I think legal's on this call too. So they would think I would be outstepping my boundaries and authority if we try to give you any impression we're actually closing as far as taking action. Any other questions in regards to it? Mr. Miller, anything else on that?
No, thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Amber, you said, I think, what it was 20,000 square feet on the first floor?
Correct.
Is there any retail going to be involved in that? You anticipate?
We don't currently plan to have retail.
Okay, so there won't be a small shop for any of the tenants to get milk or anything of that nature on the premises?
Yeah, not at this time. We do have Dave's Market, a nice short walk away.
Oh, yeah, it's not too far. No, it's fairly close, and there's a lot of other buildings that are being renovated and recharged, also schools and things like that. I noticed the market rate was that fourth floor and fifth floor, or just fourth floor?
Correct, both fourth and fifth floor, 32 units total.
Okay, and I did not notice any 3 bedrooms, so it almost looked like predominantly 1 bedroom. Is that what market rate was?
So we have, for the project overall, we have 28 studios, 68 1-bedrooms, 38 2-bedrooms, and 4 3-bedrooms. So we do have some larger units, but it's predominantly studios and 1-bedrooms.
In the market rate?
The market rate is all studios and 1-bedrooms.
That's what I thought. Okay, so you're anticipating that clientele is going to be who and on that with only a 1-bedroom need or a studio need? Who's your anticipation customer that's paying market rate?
We're anticipating young professionals and folks who are working either in downtown or the University Circle who are excited about living in a historic property.
Okay, so that obviously none of them are intended to be two bedrooms, so you're not anticipating that market rate is going to be even geared at all to a family member. Some of the family, if you're making that small.
That's right. There's a 2-person occupancy limit on a studio, and don't know, what's the occupancy limit on a 1-bedroom? Is it also 2?
The same.
Yeah, it's 2. Yeah, so be a 2-person household maximum in that studio or 1-bedroom.
Okay, and is there any brownfield components to any of the cleanup that you're doing? That you're getting any consideration from Ohio for brownfield or at the national level?
I know that the city accessed some brownfields funding to do the work, the remediation work that they've done to date. Rick, I don't know if you want to speak to that since you have a different hat on now. You're not at the city anymore.
Good afternoon, Richard Barger from Midtown Cleveland. I previously started this project under the city's economic development office, where Tony and I were former colleagues. But yes, the answer to your question is the US EPA helped fund about $1.2 million in asbestos remediation in the building. And since the building sits in the industrial commercial land bank for the city, we've been able to access special funds to help do phase 1, phase 2, and provide some type of already sort of set up most of the cleanup efforts and what needs to be done for the property for Penrose to walk right in.
Except for what I think that Amber described as you're going to seal the asbestos in the ceiling. I thought that's what I heard.
The roof.
Yeah, the roofing systems, right. You're going to be sealing that asbestos in there. And there was there was another place that you were going to be sealing. Was it in the floor components?
So the presence of lead-based paint on some of the columns and some of the brick, so that will all be enclosed.
Okay. So it's being you're just going to leave it in place, and then you're going to seal it in some form of either a boxing or painting or sealing it in some other way.
That's right. The outdoor shed structures that is the open space, we're still figuring out that has lead-based paint. We're trying to figure out the extent of that and what our options are for addressing the lead-based paint on those structures. But on the interior of the building, yes, it's enclosed. Okay.
And anything coming out through the ground, through the concrete at all, and the radiation and radon or anything of that nature? Because some of the stuff that they did in there was Gremlin specific products. I know that they would have been doing.
Yeah. So we do have a passive radon system designed so that there's an active, did I say passive? There's an active radon system since this is a historic structure. So there's a fan system that circulates air. There is a basement, and so that kind of helps us make sure it's not being trapped under there. But there's a fan system for radon. And then there are groundwater monitoring wells that we are checking the status of and may be adding to over time for the development to establish a certain number, and then we measure those results over time.
Okay, and how about like oil tanks and things like that that they would have had? All those are those gone at this point?
Yes, luckily we don't have any buried. There were some in the building, but they've been removed.
Okay, yeah, that would have been a natural process of the cutting process. Is there any components of a historical nature, not just the generic structure of it, but that you're planning on at least doing any historical background on what this building meant and some of the pictures you showed earlier? Are any of those being incorporated into the design?
Yeah, so we one So I'm hearing a couple of things there. So we are keeping, there's a silo in the back. So we're keeping that structure. We want to keep all of the exterior components that tell the story of this building from the outside. On the interior, there are a number of places where we're highlighting some of the architectural features that tell the story. And then there's also what we often do in our developments, and we've been working with Midtown, or Midtown has been working on an art project at the moment to capture some of the existing conditions, is we use the artwork inside the building to help tell the story of the past. Since it is on the National Register of Historic Places, there's also their standard format for plaques and other signage for the property as well.
Okay, it's very exciting, and we're thrilled that for a building that's been sitting there that long, sit on a property that was abandoned for almost 20 or over 20 years, and it came out of that same era. So I'm thrilled that the Warner Swasey building is being repurposed up there. So are there other questions from anybody based on any of the questions that have come forward at this point?
Chairman?
Is that Cheryl? Was that you? No.
No, it's
I heard a voice.
Yeah, I'd just like to have my name added, Councilman Jones.
Okay. Yes, Council President, I'd like to have his name added to that, if we can put that on the record. And ordinarily, I don't put my name on records, but seeing how my dad and my grandfather bought machine tools at the Warner and Swasey building, please put my name on also, because it would be, I would be derelict if I did not in that respect. Are there any other questions? Is there an issue in regards to this? It sounds like, based on the fact that this is, we're not looking for construction to even start until after the first of the year. Is there any timing to move this thing any faster than just a regular 3 reading?
No, Mr. Chairman, I think we are good with that, given the timeline that Ms. Sealy outlined.
Okay, sounds great. The chair will move that we put this on for a second reading and send it back to the full council. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion in regards to the matter?
Mr.
I would
Chair,
like to add my name if I may, Nan Baker.
Okay,
Well,
please do.
add my name too. It's a housing project.
Let me pretend I'm in the meeting. Okay, and I'll add my name too, please.
Yes, if you could add Scott Tuma's name as well.
And Sunny.
Is there anyone left on the call that hasn't put their name on it yet?
yes, I've been trying to get in. I would like to do the same.
Okay, sounds great. There you go. I don't want to say, Amber, that you potentially have the vote when we get to the full council, but you just had enough that you had a majority when it gets to the full council out there. So in that respect, so hearing any other discussions, is there any? Hearing none, all in favor of moving this for second reading, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, that matters has been moved on. Congratulations, everybody. And I've got some semi good news and some semi bad news as we close this meeting off. The good news is you always wish people well when they have an opportunity to move on and go on and grow and develop as they move on into other aspects. The bad news is as our economic development director, Ted called me earlier today, and that he has a phenomenal opportunity. I don't know whether you want to mention it here, Ted. He's going to be, not only is he be leaving, he's probably going to be a Baltimore Ravens fan because he's leaving to go to Baltimore Ravens country in the near future. So Ted, it's with our good blessings and God blessings to you that you do great things and build upon and step on the ladder that hopefully you've started climbing up the ladder here and keep on growing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, so members of the committee, I only had an opportunity to share with council staff and Chairman Schron my resignation today, effective at the end of the month, to go to Baltimore to be the city's new economic development deputy mayor. And so I don't know if I'll be a Baltimore Ravens fan, Chairman Schramm, but certainly,
Okay.
A pretty unique opportunity for professional growth, no question, but equally allows me to be closer to my wife and I, to our family in the DC area and the southern New Jersey area. So I was, Council President Jones, I called you earlier, missed you, but I will call each of you personally just to say thank you for just terrific partnership these past 5 years. I mean, this committee, Paul and I feel very collaborative, always ask terrific questions. You listen to what we're presenting, and we've had a good run of success collectively, and we can only be successful with your approval and blessing and refinement of our work. And so it's really been a joy to work with each of you and get to know you. But I'll talk individually, but since Chairman Schramm put me on the spot here, just thanks for the opportunity and partnership.
I did say I remember when I texted you earlier, said, is it going to be enough known that I can go ahead and launch it? And you said, I think you gave me that you'd already communicated to a number of folks. So I wanted at least to hear it in front of the Economic Development Committee, because there was not necessarily a guaranteed another meeting that we would have before you. So that's why I chose, at least at this point in time, to break radio silence in regards to our committee.
I had thought about that. I think we may have, maybe it'll squeeze one more.
Oh, hey,
before the end of
we're
the
welcome to have another meeting. I know there'll be another economic development topic, because I know the council president sent something for a committee of the whole in regards to the microgrids. And I know definitely it's got a economic development component to that microgrid concept. So hopefully you or one of your teammates are going to be presenting on that. So with that, is there any other matters come before the committee? Any other matters? Hearing none, this committee meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody, and we appreciate you being here, part of this. And good luck to the Warner project.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.